Well, folks, a very warm welcome to a very special show with myself and a new, well, an old friend actually, but I haven't seen her for a while. This is Shima, everybody. Now, for the last few weeks, Shima, I've been talking about my experience with you and your coaches, specifically Susanna. But let's just go back over it for the sake of the audience. Oh, by the way, how are you? Are you good?
I'm very good, thank you. It's an
Yeah,
honor to be
you're looking happy and smiling and chirpy. It's nice to see a smiling face. When I went out this morning, everybody was frowning and sad at me. You know, my daily routine, everybody seemed a bit down, but you're always an upbeat person. Myself and Shima have known each other for about, is it? It's about 6 years now, is it? That long?
yeah.
Shima came into a company that I was working for on a team building event. And that was about 6 years ago, and we did it over the course of a few weeks, which was very helpful to the team. I remember it very well. But then we kind of lost touch. Shima went off and was on her journey, and I was off on mine. This is when COVID hit, and everybody sort of did their own thing to survive those weird days of COVID. But recently we've reconnected again, and it's actually been I wouldn't say shocking state of it, but surprising would be the word I would use, Shima. The new friendship that we found, and also the healing journey that you've been helping me on.
It's been amazing to reconnect again, and it was surprising for me as well to see you came out from the real estate development to complete new journey and how many people you have been able to help. That was amazing, and it's inspiring to watch the material you created and the impact you're making on the world. So thank you.
Oh, well, it's actually I'm enjoying it so much. You know, yesterday we were planning this interview, and I said, you know what? When I wake up every day, Shima, it's like being in a movie because you just don't know what's going to happen next. When you are connected to source and you're getting this divine help and guidance, you just get messages out the building. You just start cracking up laughing. Like, well, how weird is that? There's so many string of coincidences, but in the spiritual world, they say there's no such thing as coincidence. It's all there. The signs are all there. It's just how you interpret it, and do you have the skills and talent to read the signs? So we need to introduce exactly what your chosen specialized field is. And I'm not even going to attempt to do that because every time I ask you about something, you know about it, and you've got a separate side that can deal with that. So let's try to explain to the audience, Shima, what exactly that you've put together and how amazing and important this work is that you're doing.
So basically, right now, what I do is mainly spiritual coaching and quantum therapy. I have developed a healing modality after being on a long self-healing journey. And this healing modality is a multidimensional healing modality. It's based on quantum physics teachings, as I have studied for many years quantum science, and channeling information from my past life experiences as a healer. I combined these two together and created a modality that we can go to the root cause of the disease, and we can decode the real reason for what the disease exists in the body, the message that body wants to communicate with us. And from there on, we put the body on the auto healing mode because our body is a healing machine. It's designed to heal itself. And patients are experiencing amazing results and extraordinary results, which is super fulfilling for me. And to watch this and to witness that. And this is basically what I'm right now focused on.
Yeah, so that's a lot to take in. But what I like to do is I like to abbreviate this because basically, we as a species have lost touch with how to tune into our own healing frequencies. We all have the information inside us. But over the years and over the generations, and from various different events, such as them deliberately losing and keeping this ancient information, because if you think about our great great grandfathers and grandmothers, they all passed down this healing knowledge by using natural plants and herbs and things that they could find before Big Pharma came out. We all survived over the hundreds and thousands of years. We're still here as a species. So the ancient knowledge that's been passed down was also inside us. So we all have the capabilities of tuning in and being able to heal ourselves. Now, for those of you that have been on a bit of a healing journey, or if you've just been on this circuit, I know most of the people that follow me, Shima, will understand what I'm saying. We have now come to understand that with the majority of serious illness, there usually is a root cause which is on an emotional level. So, for example, cancer patients, they tend to be having some sort of trauma that's still present in them, whether they've had a dramatic split up from their siblings, they haven't got on with their parents, if they've got some sort of divorce or partner issue going on. There's usually an emotional trauma that they're not dealing with, that they've been sitting on and subduing, which has amplified this sickness frequency, this attraction of illness. So this is one of the things that more and more people are becoming aware of treating, Shima. I've noticed there's a large upscale surge in interest in this. I get a lot of questions about that. So this is what you're saying, that you would treat the root cause of the illness. Okay, the symptom is, let's just say, a breast tumor. But what is the real reason that that breast tumor got there in the first place? Why is your body pushing all of these toxic cells into one place? So this is where your skills come into play, and also a lot of your intuition and guidance from past cases as well that you've done, yeah?
Yes, absolutely. So basically, every symptom that we have in the body, whatever disease is it, it's a message for us, and the body wants to communicate that message to us. We need to learn how to listen to these messages and decode these messages. In ancient time, we did it. If you look at Chinese medicine, it's over 5,000 years old. And Chinese medicine works directly with the emotions, with the emotional root cause, and it explains to you which emotion gets stored in which body. In the modern time, we have a lot of therapists that did amazing work with emotions, such as Dr. Bradley Nelson, that is talking about the emotion code, decoding which emotion is stored where in the body and how to release it. Basically, every emotion need to go through these phases, experience it, experiment, or process it, and let it go. This three phase has to happen because emotion is an energy, that energy that is in motion. If it doesn't happen, if for some reason we block it, it gets trapped in our energetic body, and that trapped emotion, it creates it like cut in the circuit in your meridians, which is energy channels in your body. And that shortage in the circuit will create different disease. So the disease are actually dis-ease. And what we are doing in conventional medicine, we are only focused on symptom therapy. So if there is a tumor, I'm going to cut it, I'm going to radiate it, I'm going to get rid of it, and it's going to come out from other part in the body. As if you are having a broken pipe in your wall and you have humidity issue, all what you do is calling someone to come and paint the wall. You never go to the root cause. And that is what conventional medicine is focused on. Even all those years of study and the investment in the pharma is only for the symptom, unfortunately. Therefore, we have to go to the back to see what our ancestors teach us and how they did treat this disease. We go to the emotional root cause. That's one of the root cause of the disease. In this modality that I work with, I created a map for different emotions, and there is basically a chart, and we ask which emotion it is, and we ask the body. How do we ask the body? If I ask you, you may not remember some traumatic event that happened when you were in your mom's belly or when you were 2 years old, because we have a selective memory and our brain is designed on survival, so it wouldn't bring that to your conscious mind immediately. We have a method to access your subconscious with kinesiology. Is a science that we can ask your muscle by muscle testing, and your muscles, for whatever is truth for you, they become very strong, and if it's something false, become very loose. So we do muscle testing. We can ask your body. In distance healing, instead of muscle testing, we use the pendulum, which is the same, accessing the electromagnetic field of your body, accessing your consciousness, asking the question, and the pendulum will reply to those questions. Basically, it's your consciousness who is replying to us. This is based on the quantum science of interconnectivity. We are all interconnected. There is no distance between you and me. We are all connecting in the same field, which Max Planck called it the matrix, the divine matrix. And so based on that knowledge, based on that science, I connect to your body and I ask the pendulum, what type of this trapped emotion exists in this disease, whatever it is. Imagine this is cancer. Something important to know about cancer in general. Cancer is suppressed anger and resentment. Without any exception, all the patients that have cancer, they have suppressed anger and resentment. So the first thing I tell them, even if you don't come for any therapy, find out who you need to forgive. And that person can be you, can be yourself. That person can be someone who did bad to you, or you cannot forgive yourself for how far you allow them to come, forward into your life and break your boundaries and do the damage on you. So first, go sit down with that and forgive, do proper forgiveness. And you don't forgive because they deserve it. You forgive because you deserve peace. Forgiveness is one of the most important protocols in cancer therapy. And I have shared it in my first book because I have a long story with that. If you want later, I can share my own personal journey with cancer and how forgiveness becomes very, very important in this treatment. Now, in my quantum healing, which is called Shimana Quantum Code, we ask the electromagnetic field, we ask the subconscious of the person about that emotion. So what is the root cause of this disease? And then we go through the chart and we are checking with the pendulum. The pendulum is saying yes or no. Basically, your body is responding yes or no. Your subconscious is responding and guiding. Despite any other treatment that the therapist is the one who is guiding you or who has to do a judgment about how many sessions you need or what to do, here your subconscious is fully in charge. And we are just a channel. We are just here a vessel for the light to come through and to hold that frequency for your healing. So we are asking and then we are pinpointing, imagine this emotion that was, I can show you the chart of the emotion, basically is in this book, Shimana Quantum Code. So we have the charts for trapped emotions, and this is a simplified chart. It's basically this, and you can see we have different type of trapped emotion and different organs. So we check what is that trapped emotion and we get the answer. Imagine that was a heartbreak. And we ask with the pendulum, do I need to know more about it? And sometimes your subconscious wants to deliver more information. It says yes. So I ask when this happened. Maybe this happened in your childhood, and we pinpoint exactly the time that happened. That's how your subconscious communicate with you and remind you, oh, remember that when you were like 8 years old and when your parents separate you, you were heartbroken. And that heartbreak is the reason, for instance, today you have this disease, is one of the reasons. So what we do, we command your body to release it. How do we do that? It's very, 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 very easy. We are all interconnected. Your body is like a hologram. If you look at the quantum science hologramic being theory, you understand that everything is hologramic. There is a space. There is 99.999% of one atom is that space, is the energy. 0.0001% of every atom that we study is the matter. So your body as a physical matter is not the physical matter in reality. It's this expansive energy that there is a lot of space in it. It's like a quantum field and a hologram being. So we command your body to release it by opening the portal of your heart through the palm. The meridian of the heart passes the palm of the hand. And I'm opening it, I'm making a circle, like a clockwise circle in the palm of my hand 3 times and opening the portal of your heart. And then I'm commanding the body to release that trapped emotion 3 times. I command it release the heartbreak. And then I check with the pendulum. It has been released. When I get a yes, then I will go and reset that organ to its original perfect health design with the same method and realign the meridian. In the same moment, a person will feel immediate relief, like many patients with chronic pain that they go for many years to physiotherapy, osteopath, chiropractic, and they can't get a result. When they come to us, in the same moment, they feel the pain is gone because the reason of that pain was trapped emotions. So usually we go first through the trapped emotions, and these trapped emotions can be from any time in your life, can be from this life experience, could be prenatal, which is the second chart, column B, which is the prenatal trapped emotions. Whatever your mom experienced, it's been stored in your body, and it can show itself at any time in your life. Then we have preconception trapped emotions, and the emotions that you were not even conceived, been stored in your body. This is a light body. The consciousness travels. Everything is energy, and energy never disappears. So your consciousness carries those codes, those data with itself to the next life. And that's how we decode preconception trapped emotions and we release it. And then we have inherited trapped emotions, which are trapped emotions that come generational down. That is the main reason of many so-called incurable disease. And then we release those inherited trapped emotions, the body goes back to its original perfect health design and heal itself. And then we have collective imprints. Collective imprints are the collective trapped emotions, like for instance, during pandemic, fear, or
Yeah.
like exactly like or suppression or oppression was one of the main collective trapped emotions that we had treated many patients after pandemic with adrenal gland dysfunction and extreme fatigue. And that was all the reason was the collective fatigue, collective fear that was stored on the adrenal gland. So we know the interconnectivity between different organs and realign it. And it's a very fast healing session because it doesn't really need to go really far understanding, like with hypnotherapy, go 10 sessions to go to other life and understanding where was that trauma stored and what type of emotion is stored in your body. With one pendulum and a second, we can understand which life that happened, if it's a preconception trapped emotion, and release it, or if it's inherited. So it's a combination of 11 different healing modalities that I have been applying for the past years. And it's very fast and effective. That's one of the things we discover, but we have also limiting beliefs. It's not only the trapped emotions, the mind plays a big role because you need to understand that we are multidimensional beings. We have physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, causal, etheric, spiritual bodies. Is not only one body, right? Like the Russian dolls, or is it
Yeah. Layers and layers.
exactly? So we need to go to the root cause, and the root cause sometimes is trapped emotions in more than 90% of the time, but many times also is mental energies, limiting beliefs that you carry, whether from this life experience or other life experiences. And those limiting beliefs, they can get trapped in you in a very easy way. Just whatever limiting belief, look at the society, how many people are living in poverty because of the limiting belief around finances and money, because of the way we are programmed around money. So with this chart, you can also release your financial blockages, any type of blockages. So you go with the pendulum and see what kind of limiting beliefs it is. So if I've discovered, for instance, if I am healthy, nobody will take care of me. That's one of the limiting beliefs. Then it's very difficult to get healthy because your subconscious keep pushing you back.
Yeah. You have a reason to, I get it. So, okay, let's take a moment there and absorb that because we'll pull it apart and explain it a bit better. Um, there's so many different levels to this that I mean, I have a very good understanding of this because I think I grew up in a household of, unexplained. My mother was absolutely into all of this. She had a pendulum. She'd take a wedding ring off and use it on a necklace and hold it over a pregnant woman's stomach. Well, and she'd usually get it right as far as I knew. But I've been around it most of my life, Shima. So I've heard of all of this, and I actually, since I got into a lot of this, I can see when people are sick. I get that energy off them. I'll give you a great example. Yesterday, I pulled over I'm in Seville today. I pulled over just to get a coffee, stretch my legs a bit, and there was a guy parked next to me, and he got out, and I looked at him, and we sort of gave each other a nod. I thought, oh my God, I could see the sickness in him because of just the energy, and it was alcohol. He was, he had that blurry energy coming off him. So I can read that off people. I can sense when people have got something wrong with the blood. Like it used to happen a lot with when I was single, and I'd be introduced to, and I'd say, oh no, I can sense there's something up with their blood, whether it's some sort of toxic or whether it's some sort of, I don't know, something. I would always say bad blood, dirty blood, don't like that energy, don't like that. So whether it was, yeah, like I'm saying, drugs on some sort of toxic in there, I don't know, whether hepatitis C, for example, was quite common when I was in South America. So I've always had that sense of it. So what you're talking about, you being able to identify illness and the emotional connection that goes along with it. I mean, my mother was a classic case of this. My mother died. It's actually 3 years in a couple of weeks. In February, she died. But she took all of this pain and anger and resentment with her, and then all of a sudden she gets stage 4 cancer. I mean, that was vaccine related as well. She had the booster, and all of a sudden she's, got 6 weeks to live. But I spent the last 5 or 6 months saying, listen, you gotta release it. Every time I met, I sneeze exactly like my father, apparently. So when I'd be sitting there and I'd sneeze, she'd go bananas. Yeah, just like your dad. Can you not sneeze? No, you can't help the way you sneeze. It's the way you sneeze. But she, since my entire teenage years, because they separate when I'm about 11 or 12, she's never had a good word to say about my dad. And, the very least you'd say, well, I have 4 amazing children. Thank you for that. She wouldn't, though. She just kept all that resentment. And it was her that divorced him. It wasn't him that made the move. She did it. So carrying this pent up anger, guilt, resentment, self loathing, these are absolutely the foundational causes that can attract this energy. So I'm absolutely convinced of what you've just been talking about is true. So, for the sake of the audience, the book that you put together, these informational charts, Shima, are these available that people can do themselves? Have you designed workshops? Have you designed online courses? Tell us about the next steps people would need to do if they are suspicious of they have a sickness or they do have an illness that is trauma or emotional, keeping it inside you, not releasing it. What do people do next to tackle this problem?
Yes. So they can read the book, of course, is designed and is written for everybody, is written in a language that everyone can connect and learn to self-heal. And if they are interested to become a therapist, they can sign up on a waiting list on the website. We can add the link here to become a trained certified Shimana Quantum Code therapist and be able to help others. And yes, we organize regularly workshop. Actually, we have an upcoming one for the people in Marbella on the 23rd of January. So we have a workshop. We can add the link here if you would like to
Yeah,
join.
yeah, please, yeah, yeah.
We will do the demonstration. So we will ask audience with chronic pain to come up, because chronic pain, we can show it immediately, the response in the body. Of course, somebody come with cancer and they don't have any pain. When they come, you don't see in the first session the result. You only see the result when you go for an MRI and they show you that the tumor shrink, as it's been the case of so many people we work with. But when with chronic pain, somebody come that has this back pain for over 10 years, and I ask them how much is your pain, and they say out of 10, they said is a 9. I can't even sit, and we have many videos from them. They come up and we do the session for them, only a 5-minute short session, and their pain comes down to a 2 or 3, or sometimes disappear completely. And we have a live demonstration and talking about it, how this therapy works. What I would like to share here, David, it's I think it's very important for people to understand how this modality has been developed. How on
Yeah, yeah,
earth
please, yeah.
somebody come to bringing something that is so esoteric and sometimes difficult to understand for a logical mind and
Yeah, yeah.
I would like to share a little bit my story behind. I was born during the war between Iran and Iraq in Tehran. So the first 8 years of my upbringing is hearing bombard attacks and being on constant stress and survival mode. At the same time, asking myself very early in life this question: who am I? Why did I end up here in this conflict-full world? And who is God? Who is God, by the way? That was a very profound question to ask myself when I was very young. And usually, until you don't get to trouble, you don't ask who is God and who bring you here. And
Yeah, yeah.
as he explained the difference between spirituality and religion, the religion is for people who are afraid to go to heaven, and spirituality is for the one who already come from the heaven, from hell, sorry.
I like that. I'm going to use that. I like
Come
that.
from the hell. So we've been exposed to Islamic teaching, very restricted Islamic teaching at the school. And it didn't really resonate with me. I had to question, who am I? Who is this God who brought me to this country under the bombard, and they are killing my family and my friends in front of my eyes, and I can't do anything about it. And so I had a lot of contradiction inside me to understand the meaning of life. And when I was 14 years old, I studied Nietzsche, the book Also sprach Zarathustra, and so said Zoroaster. The book started with this sentence, and God is dead. And that resonated deeply with me because that God that placed me there and the God in Islam, who was full of hate and anger and resentment, wasn't definitely the God who brought me to this world. So I first started to release everything, to get rid of all those religious beliefs, all those understanding, and say, okay, that doesn't exist. And I went into the Darwin theory of Big Bang and evolution, and it made sense for a real while. Until I had a spontaneous trip to Turkey, where the tomb of Rumi is, and a lot of synchronicities happened, angelic experiences that I have shared it in my first book, and there something bigger, a bigger presence showed itself to me that created a new path for my spirituality and understanding that was very different to my scientific way of view, and that everything is just evolution and nothing else, nothing beyond that. So I moved to Germany to study German philosophy in its own language because I didn't want to read translations. And soon after, I was hired by a company at the age of 19 while I was still studying. And I became their foreign trade manager at that age and was managing 120 employees, had to travel 180 days a year and study many different science related to human leadership, coaching, and everything, to be able to communicate with people who were all older than me. When I was 19, my secretary was 45 years old. All that became the foundation of the coaching. Then I came one day to Marbella for
And fell in love
vacation.
and stayed here.
Yes, I was having these Rumi books in my hand and reading the poems, Being Kissed by the Sun in October.
Yeah.
This bold thought in my head that I have to come here as long as I'm still young and have teeth to enjoy my life. Because everywhere I looked at in Marbella, people were retired. They come to spend their retirement here. And I wanted to come here when I was young. And I took that bold decision 6 months after I moved to Marbella and started my own business here and become an entrepreneur ever since. Now, a few months after, I met someone called Salvador. Salvador helped me to expand my business here and establish my life here. He became like a true father to me and a business partner. And everything was amazing with this partnership and the business we were having together. After some years into the business, he came one day with this devastating news that they gave him 3 months to live. Cancer developed all over his body and they couldn't do anything more for him. So they had to send him home to die because they couldn't do more chemios to him. He lost a kidney. For me, this was the first experience of someone close with cancer. Until then, I didn't know anyone with cancer.
Yeah. What year was this, Shima? How long ago was this?
This is back in 2010.
2010. Okay.
Yes. And so I started to dive deep and search for truth behind cancer. What I searched was people who healed their stage 4 cancer with alternative medicine, not conventional, because conventional wasn't an answer for us anymore.
Yeah.
I read tons of books, watched tons of interviews of people who healed their stage 4 cancer. Specifically, the book of Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life, was the source of my inspiration because she shared how she healed her own cancer and went to the emotional root cause of her cancer. And she's sharing in this book a chart of different emotions connected with different organs and different disease. And that transformed my mindset completely. And I came up with a protocol after all of these studies about alkalinizing the body, meditating, and forgiveness, came up with a protocol for Salvador. And as he's in bed, I shared this protocol with him and I asked him to apply it. I said, you have nothing to lose. And I knew he needed to forgive a court case he had for 15 years with a partner, business partner. He needed to forgive. And he did that. He applied the protocol. He did the forgiveness for that. He closed that court case. And 3 months after everyone was expecting him to die, he came back to office more energetic than before. 6 months after all the cancers were shrink, 1 year after he's cancer free.
Is he still alive now?
No, he passed away some years ago.
He got hit. He got hit by a car. Survived the cancer. That's a great story, Shima. So
Right. So I learned that there is a lot you can do for these people, right? And this is the same protocol I shared with so many people, and I shared it in my first book, Infinite Love, a journey from suffering to sacred healing. And that is my personal journey and how I learned stuff and come to this infinite love ideology. This is my ideology about life, that what connects us all together is unconditional love. The source is
yeah,
unconditional love. So after Salvador came back and everything was great, I shared this protocol with so many other people with any type of incurable disease that they sent me an email or they contacted me. But I wasn't doing this. I wasn't doing the work as a therapist or as a healer. And until the next wake-up call, when my mother was in a coma. So my mom was my soulmate, was my best friend. It wasn't just a mother-daughter relationship. She was everything in my life. And I didn't find myself one day not talking about her, not living with her, but not talking about her and bringing her as an example to my teachings.
hmm
And I was preparing to see her for Christmas. She was coming here to Spain. Then I got a message that she's in a coma. They discovered a tumor in her brain, and my family didn't want to worry me. They put her under biopsy and she went directly into a coma. So I got myself to her bed in Tehran and I applied the quantum healing modality. I was already working with quantum physics and quantum healing for some years as a hobby, not as a work, not as something that I offered to others. And luckily, she came out of the coma. So I shared my experience with Salvador and 35 other patients with cancer. And I begged my family to not put my mom under aggressive treatments and wanted
yeah,
to
chemo or anything like that. No.
exactly. They showed great resistance. They didn't understand anything because I wasn't an authority. They said she's with the best doctor, she's at the best
Yeah,
hospital. Who are you?
yeah, yeah,
I don't blame them. They wanted the best for my mother, but that costed her life because she underwent 6 brain surgery and 2 months of radiotherapy in only a year and a half. She wasn't between us anymore. And that was the most difficult part of my soul journey. And during this time, I decided to change my industry. That the first flight back from Tehran, I wrote 62 pages of the business plan of Infinite Love Project, which is a healing center, basically holistic health resort and a coaching academy and a community that are living based on heart-centeredness is the ideology that I shared in Infinite Love book. And changed my industry completely, closed that company and opened the Infinite Love Coaching Academy here in Marbella and started to work more on my mission. Now, when my mom passed, I was hospitalized. I was paralyzed with the news because the trauma was so deep in me that my body couldn't respond anymore. It started with a big headache, and by the time I'm in the hospital, I am numb all over the body in Kiron Hospital in Marbella. And 5 days they scanned top to toe. They couldn't find anything. And of course, they couldn't find anything because they don't know the relationship between the trauma.
yeah. They're not
And
looking for that. They're not. They're looking for 3D illness and tumors and lumps, and aren't they?
exactly. So I decided to go on a self-healing journey. And that brought Shimana Quantum Code to life. That was the foundation of understanding the trauma that is stored in my body, releasing those traumas, figuring out what are those trapped emotions, how to release them, what are mental energies. And of course, I wanted to connect with my mother's soul. She's gone, but she's here. I know deeply that she's here. Now, there is also an important part that how it connected me more to the soul realm, to the realm of the unseen. I had many angelic experiences and spontaneous healing experiences in my life that I shared it in Infinite Love book as well. But this specifically was when they told me that she won't be healed just before she died, when they said that a couple of months before that there is no more hope. And I hit the bottom ground. I wanted to finish my life. There was no more motivation for me to live. And I remember that I had a lot of medication in front of me, and I was writing my goodbye letter. I was rolling in bed in pain and crying to finish that life because there was no more reason to live.
God.
And in that moment, um, two arms, beautiful, warm arms of light, hold me. And a beautiful voice, a voice of a woman whispered under my ear, everything is going to be okay, my love. Everything is going to be okay. You need to eat something, she was telling me.
In English.
Yes, I don't remember was it in English now. That is like 8 years ago, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's
It's funny, isn't it? Because sometimes it's a different language you get it in, but you get the message. I've been asked that, and I'm like, I don't
but
remember.
most of my channelings are in English. But depends. If my mom is present, is always in Farsi.
Yeah, I was going to
But
say
when I'm doing channeling and everything, even for myself, is in English because that's the language I'm using
more accustomed to. Yeah.
the last 3 decades.
So was that energy your mum, you think, or an
Uh,
angel? I
no, it was
interrupted
the
you there.
energy of my higher self,
Ah,
Shimana, who is inside the book now, who brought the whole healing to me. The Shimana is the name of my higher self, is the name of this soul that I connected with into my channeling sessions. So this energy hold me very tight, and the frequency of love, like that moment of encounter with this divine love, is a moment that there is no word that can describe it. That unconditional love is a unique experience that I see Rumi wrote 100 books about it to be able to bring it into the vocabulary is impossible,
hmm.
impossible to describe that feeling of connection with the source, of connection with unconditional love. And that became the ground for my ideology today, that nothing can shake it because it creates such an inner resilience when you are touched by the unseen. It wasn't a presence of light, it was two arms, literal arms. And that night I had an out of body experience because of course I wanted to leave this body. When I slept, I heard the voice of a woman after my meditation told me, let her free, set her free. And I saw I'm coming out of my body, and I went to the ceiling, and I'm coming as I'm going up. I said, that's it, I'm free. This is it, finished. This suffering is finished, this pain is finished, it's all behind. And as I'm going up, I turn back and look at my face, my innocent body in the bed. And I just was looking for that moment of love, of unconditional love that I experienced earlier in the evening, or something that is joyful, or something that is loving. And there was nothing. There was no emotion. It wasn't bad. It wasn't good neither. It was dull. It was empty. It was not what I wanted. So I remember that I look at my body and I dived, literally dived into my body, and I sit down on my bed, shaking, and I sit down on my bed like was the shocking way waking up and coming back to my body.
Which year was this?
2019, no, 18,
19. So, okay. So this
18.
is just after, more or less, after I'd met you about a year later, because I remember you mentioned that your mum was in Marbella with you.
Mm,
You
yeah.
see, for the sake of the audience, for some reason, I've always had a lot of Iranian friends. I have a couple of Iranian dentists, which make me laugh. One of them's a pilot. And he keeps inviting me to go flying with him. Why don't you come flying with me? What? No, no, I'm not getting up in there. I said, I know what you like. You're probably trying to crash it, Teasing him. But
Bye-bye.
Yeah, he's in Diana Center. What's his first name? I just call him Doc. I've got his name on my phone.
Okay.
And then
Oh, he's there. He's now there.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, he's here.
But
He's
you're talking about another one who was living in Marbella, Bob, I
no,
think.
I know about 10 or 15 Iranian people here. But here's the thing, folks. Um, it goes back 30 years. When I lived in the UK in the 80s, there was an Iranian family next door to us. And, the mom was inviting us in. I was like 17, 18. She was treating me like the son, feeding me where you're going, what you're doing. So I got to understand the whole culture, the food, the whole story of the revolution. And while you were talking about the first part of I was looking up how long the Iran-Iraq war. I wasn't answering a text message or updating my profile on Facebook. I was thinking, how long is the Iran-Iraq war? And it went on from September 22nd, 1980 to August 88. So it's 8 years. Like you were saying, your kids. So you were accustomed to shells and explosions and family members missing or being killed. What a horrible experience, really. But I mean, rough. That's a rough experience. I had something a little bit similar because it was not really as bad as that. Because where I was living in Ireland, there was a civil war going on in the north, but like 3 hours away. But people would be affected by it. You'd often hear my friends going to another funeral where a family member had been killed in an explosion or something. So not as you. Yours was way worse. But I understand that not understanding. What do you mean? Where is he? He's dead. Well, how did that happen? So super interesting journey. But what I've picked up out of this, Shima, and I know you're going to confirm it, is traumatic events force you to relook at yourself. And I've always described them to my audience as like a storm. Imagine you're in a small sailing boat, and oh my God, you're in a force 9, and it's a hurricane. And you think you're never going to survive this. And you're saying, oh my God, what have I done? I'm going to die here. There's no way I can get through this. So I'm relating the storm when you're terrified to the same pain as you're getting from a family member. Like you mentioned, your mother is your soulmate or was your soulmate. I mean, losing somebody that was so foundationally important to your life, taking that person away, especially when you didn't have such a spiritual understanding. Because, my mother died 3 years ago and I was actually quite fine with it. I was kind of there was a lot of funny, humorous things that happened around the death, and I was absolutely fine, and I was prepared for it, and I settled things, and I spoke to her, and I told her I loved her, and I said, okay, she chose herself, she wanted to go, so I couldn't stop her. It was her decision ultimately to stop taking the medication, and she just slipped away in a few days. It went really quickly. But once you're in this spiritual energy, you understand that death is just another doorway. People are always crying and go to funerals. And my mother said to me, do not have a funeral for me. Just burn this corpse and do something with my ashes. And I said, come on, everybody want to sit. No, she made me promise. And I didn't. I kept my word. And I said, okay. So she was cremated alone. And I went back to collect the ashes. And then we did a family thing. That's exactly what she wanted. She didn't want all that fuss. But the traumatic events that you go through in your life are the ones that are going to catapult you forward the most. You're going to understand and learn about yourself more. And if you are in that vibrational frequency, when you do get these events, it takes a lot of courage to not break down, to just collapse down on your knees. You were rolling around in pain because it affected you so much, but to have the courage and the understanding. And had you not had that bright, self-conscious Shimana, they embraced that, they did, where would you have gone in your life? You would have just fallen into an abyss of self-pity and, I can't get over it. And my mom, it's only been a year, it's only been 2 years, I'm still not over it. But it's such an amazing experience that something like that would come and embrace you and share that fantastic feeling of unconditional love, because it's the catalyst. That's what plugged you into the system and said, right, Shima, get up, stop feeling sorry for yourself. You've got an important mission. You got all these books to write. You got all these people to help. But when you look at the pain that you involve, pain, it always passes, and it transmutes it. Alchemize the pain into a power. I mean, there's levels to this. It goes on and on and on and on and on, doesn't it?
Wind is a place where the light gets in. So
Yeah.
Jung has this amazing saying that when we are born, we are like a little piece of rock. Like imagine this little piece of rock, and it doesn't have any form. And life is like this sculptor is taking piece by piece with that hammer pieces of your ego away by different experiences to ground you, to show you who you truly are. And when all those pieces are away, at the end of your journey, you become a beautiful sculpture. And you need to allow that
Yeah.
happen, and you need to go to life with an open heart and allow it to break. Allow your heart to break over and over. Don't close yourself. Don't go and hide yourself from circumstances, from people who hurt you, because the more you break, the more light gets into it, into you, and the more your beauty, the true soul that you have will shine out, the more you allow this breaking to happen to you. So the
Yeah.
womb is the place where the light gets in, and we need to embrace the pain. We need to accept as part of our journey, accept it, and using it as a stepping stone to become stronger, to create and build that inner resilience, and to move forward.
Not always as easy as that though, because I mean, I had a recent bad one, betrayal. See, deceit and betrayal have followed me all my life. If somebody was to ask me, Mahoney, what are the main things that you hear in this carnation to understand? I would say deceit and betrayal. I mean, it's happened. Business people that I trusted. Like, I went away one week and came back, and he'd basically, it's a long story, but he'd done the sneakiest business shit. I mean, I couldn't even think of how did you even think of that? It's so sneaky and so bad. I was flabbergasted that he thought it was an acceptable business move. This was quite a while ago, like 15 years ago. And it never works. Didn't work. It just fell apart. And he ended up leaving. He was a partner, but he ended up throwing himself out of the company. And I kept all of the assets, though. He played the wrong card game. But it's not easy to teach that. Like, I'll give you an example. You're in a relationship and the relationship breaks down. And I remember a relationship I had a few years ago, and it said, she said, okay, it's not going to work. This was with a doctor. It's not going to work out, David. And I said, well, what do you want to do? She said, I think we have to break up. And I was like, great. That's great news. And she said, what are you talking about? Great news. I said, you're fantastic. But if we're going to break up and then we're not going to be together, I know that somebody else is even better than you is going to come along, because it's not going to get worse for me, is it? It's going to get better, because that's the reward you get. She said, you're an asshole for thinking like that. I said, well, I can't help it, but that's the way life is for me, And that's the belief I have. It doesn't get worse, it gets better. However, I had a similar experience recently, and I didn't have the same way of dealing with it. So that showed me that there wasn't really any love in that relationship with the doctor, because when there is real love, then it is painful to come to the realization that you have to move on without this person. It isn't as easy as we're saying it is. It's not just black and white. You've got to understand and pull the pain apart and say, okay. And I have a bit of a sickness about this, because I kind of like pain. And you've got a loose tooth, or like now I've got tennis elbow or something, and I kind of like to push it, but like, oh, I kind of like the pain. I have to admit, I like the pain. So I would open up the emotion, go in there and experience the pain, then close it off again. It's like opening a door quickly and saying, is the lion still in there? Let's just close the door again, or just have that scary moment on the movie that you're watching. But it isn't as easy as that, folks, because we're
This is
making it sound easy to like embrace the pain. But if you can just imagine that, you've got to get through it. This is one of those things that you got to ride in that boat in the storm, keep your nose into the waves, go through it, because the storm is going to clear and you're going to see the sky coming. It's going to be bright, bright blue skies, and you're going to come out of it. So,
Always acting is much more difficult than saying.
yeah.
But when you say based off experience, how did you manage your own life, and all those challenges and suffering can be inspiring for others that are going through similar situations, and they can say, okay, if he could stand up after the storm, or she could stand up after the storm, I can get through too.
Uh, Absolutely. But there's other foundational things involved here as well. For example, I think your self-confidence, because I've seen a lot of people destroyed after relationships, because men are more guilty of it than women. Oh, you're never going to meet anybody else. You're too old, you're too young, you're too fat, you're too thin, you're too ugly. And they've been listening to this for years. And eventually, oh, you're 40, you're never going to meet anybody else at 40. You're talking about, I think women at 40 are more interesting. I'd much rather spend time with a 40-year-old than a 25-year-old. What are you going to talk about? Britney Spears and Sabrina Carpenter? No. So I've seen a lot of people that have their self confidence destroyed by relationships. But this is what I've been teaching recently. I say this is where you have to understand now. A lot of expressions have been overplayed in this spiritual world, and I think one of them is self love. People always saying self love. You got to practice self love, and most people think, "Oh, there was that like lying in bed touching myself all day or taking." But no, it's like get yourself back into shape. Start working on your body and your mental health. Are you unhappy with your ass, your hips, your breasts, your chest, your arms, whatever it is? Drop the food, drop the alcohol, get back into the gym, go for a run, keep your health there. Look in the mirror and say, "Wow, man, you're looking good. Actually, look at this. This is the practice of loving yourself." I don't like self-love, but I would say respect yourself because it's very easy, and I'm absolutely guilty of this, of overindulgence on heavy meals and too much alcohol, and then all of a sudden you get into your 50s and you have a look one day in the morning and say, "Well, 10 years ago I didn't look like this." So I have absolutely dramatically transformed my body in the last 6 months by determination, hard work, and having respect for myself. So that's one of them. And the knowledge that you'll gain, seek knowledge. Watch a seminar, go to YouTube, get the right person involved, get that book off Amazon, seek for the knowledge. And I've also found, Shima, that if you've absolutely got to open up your heart to the divine. Now, again, three things. I know I've been talking for about 2 minutes. I'm going to give up the mic in a second. People get weirded out or they don't like it if you use the word God, because immediately people have an idea of what God is, whether it's Muhammad or Buddha or, Jesus is the son of God. So I tend not to use it. Because your idea of who God is, some guy in the sky with a big beard, and he's smithing people and striking people down and making them sacrifice things in his name, and telling hundreds of millions of people to get every day on their knees and pray to him and tell him how amazing he is. No, this is about connecting to an energetic energy where you're part of a collective, where you feel that you are here for a reason. I call it spirit. I like the divine. I like the great creator, the grand architect, all of these things. I use the word God too. Sometimes it slips out. I don't have a problem with it. But I find you isolate yourself when you say God. Oh, here we fucking go. God again. Oh, he's going to get the Bible out now. No, this is about feeling connection to an energy source. Imagine you walk near, someone's got a great big fire on in a chimney. You walk in the house is warm. And as you get closer to the chimney, you say, "Oh, this is getting hot. I can feel where the energy is coming from. This is it." So I think a big part of this, when you are going through this, and not everybody does it, and not everybody will do it, is connecting to that energetic source of what you're here for. Why is this an amazing? I mean, they worked out it was like something like 24,000 people or something that had to get together and successfully have sex, have a child, and that child have a child, and that child have a child, just for you to be here today. So I think the numbers were even more than that. I've forgotten now, but a tremendous amount of luck involved. People getting together and falling in love or not falling in love, and just having a successful pregnancy where the baby wasn't eaten or killed by disease. Eaten by wild animals, killed by disease, or sent into slavery. Just for you to be here. So you got to think you're a special being. Energetically wise, you've got to feel connected to it. And then it starts rolling into other things. And so respect yourself, show yourself some self-respect, start doing the loving yourself, get yourself back into shape, understand and not listen to all this negativity. Oh, get a job. You're never going to get a man. Or just marry her. She's the only thing that you're going to get. You're 45, you're 55, you're 60 now. You're never going to meet anybody else. Who wants a washed up, retired doctor or retired accountant like you? People always putting you down because they don't want you to climb out and be more successful and be bright and be more happy. They want you to stay in their miserable, I'm just going to get up every day and do a 9 to 5 existence. They want you to stay there. But if you've got that feeling where you need to climb out of it, absolutely, the help is there. You just got to find it, seek it, look for it. True or not?
Absolutely. Self-love is the foundation of everything. And it's something that is misunderstood widely because people are mistaking it with egoism, and is not, has nothing to do. Egoism means having only self-interest, and self-love means having the interest of self and others into consideration. When you are in an emergency state in airplane, if you don't first put the emergency mask on
Good
your own face,
example.
you can't help your kids. And that is self-awareness. So the deeper meaning of self-love is self-awareness. Actually, I dedicated a full chapter to this in Infinite Love book about self-love and connecting with your inner child, because we all have wounded inner children. Those wounded inner children that they didn't get what they wanted for whatever reason, that the parents didn't know how to do any better. Those children are wounded. And when you connect to the mirror, and when you start to connect with that innocent eyes in the mirror, you start receiving guidance from that inner child and connecting with it and trying to build that relationship with the part of you that you have abandoned for a while. Like when David was speaking about alcohol or junk food or whatever, or it's that part of you that you have abandoned into that relationship that you didn't belong. And now you come out of that relationship and you feel other people's words are important and shaping your reality. I'm not good enough. I'm never making. I'm too
Yeah.
Muslim to do this, to that. Instead of that, if you connect with those eyes in the mirror, those eyes, my dear, is your inner guru. You don't need any guru out of you because your guru is inside you. And just by connecting with that, you repair that connection with yourself, with part of your psyche that you have abandoned because of others. You come back to yourself, you remember your worth, your value. You start to treat your body as a temple, to treat yourself as a temple. And you start setting boundaries for people to not touch your soul with dirty hands, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
In that moment, the guidance come when you look into the eyes and ask any question, the answer come from within. It doesn't come from without. It's one of the main exercises been for the past 20 years in my coaching, the self-love, no matter when I was doing coaching for executives, business coaching or relationship coaching, and now spiritual coaching, no matter, all of us have one problem in common: lack of self-love, which is lack of self-awareness. And we can only improve it, but we can never make it to the end because the life circumstances are putting you in places to connect deeper to your authentic self, to speak up the truth, to be truthful to yourself, to be honest with yourself. And if you are not, you're abandoning yourself. And all of that will be lack of self-love. So self-love is not just, okay, how am I going to show up for others? What kind of brand I'm wearing and what kind of makeup I'm wearing? No, self-love is how you show up for yourself,
You,
how you become aware of who you truly are, and how you understand why you're here. Why you're here? Why did you come to this earth? Are you still going to that 9 to 5 job that you hate? That is self-love.
do you want to know what brand of makeup I'm wearing? How many times have you heard somebody say, "Oh, I hate my job. Oh my God, it's only Wednesday," and I just say, "Well, change it. Change it." One of the exercises I've been talking about, Shima, is that first point is when people normally have that traumatic incident where they start, like you say, looking in the mirror. But before you get to that, I've been saying, look, write down the things that you think your great qualities. You're a great listener. You remember things. You always remember birthdays. You're very thoughtful. You're very thoughtful and giving. Then you can write down what your love language is, whether you're scratching people, being affectionate. Do you like to buy gifts? Do you like to receive gifts? Are you a sharer? Find out what your love language talents are, your skills or interests, and then write down what you're bad at. I'm bad at, for me, I'm bad at accepting compliments. It makes me uncomfortable. Like, Mahoney, thank you so. Oh, no, it's all right, mate. I don't like to go over that. I'm aware of it, and I don't think it's holding me back. But I've been making a conscious effort now, saying, "Oh, that's really nice. Thank you so much for taking the time to write that comment about how much you enjoyed some of the videos I've been doing." Normally, I just say thumbs up or something because it just makes me uncomfortable. People complimenting me. And so I've been working on that. I mean, it's a small thing, it's not something huge, but start small, guys. Write down and acknowledge the things that you're good at, write down the things that you're not good at. And then you can start attacking those. I'm not good at forgiving people. I remember things too long. I'm a little bit vindictive. I don't forgive too easily. And you mentioned it earlier, Shima, is forgiving this emotion. And it's very hard. This is a really hard one when someone's hurt you to sort of say, yeah, of course I forgive you. You're forgiven as you're sharpening a knife, you know. I'm coming around later. But it's something I've learned recently because ultimately when I lifted some energy that was keeping me in that non-forgiving energy, after I'd cleared it and it was gone, I really looked at myself. I do this quite often. I'll have a mental out of body experience and look at myself as a third party and say, why did you even care in the first place? The difference between you and that person is huge. It's like little and large. Why did you even care? And it's like, you know what? It's a good question. Why? Why did I care? But you know what? The answer is you can't always control what your heart does. And if you go deeper into that, which is something that your guidance has helped me with, is it goes back even further if you want to go into karmic experiences and why it happened, which actually we're running out of time, but we should talk about the karmic stuff on the next interview, Shima, because I've got a 20 minutes. I'm all right for another 10 minutes. I've got 20 minutes time. I'm on with Susanna for my third session of their Akashic record access, which is fantastic. But we'll get into that next time. We'll try to sort of wind this down now a bit and wrap it up. So all in all, your experiences have given you the insight and the divine guidance to get it all documented into 3 books. I think you've got available on. Yeah,
5 books.
5. Is it 5? Sorry. So you got 5 books. Let's name them and go through what they do then, Shima.
Well, basically, Infinite Love was published in 2021, and now this is a new edition. But the new edition is completely different. This is the original edition, so you can get all 5. But this is if you want to just start and you don't have a very deep spiritual terminology, and you want to just start to learn about the journey. This is the first book, the first Infinite Love, my journey to better health, relationship, and finances, applying a scientific spiritual approach. So I'm connecting science with the spiritual teachings. There is a lot of scientific material for people who are like myself, left brain, like to have analytical understanding about life, and dive deep into the teachings of Heart Mass Institute about the electromagnetic field of our heart and how our heart is the source of the intelligence. So I'm connecting these two together. The recent scientific studies about the neurons of our heart that communicate with the world and with our brain in a different way that we have been taught for before. And also how the heart is the body main taskmaster, not the brain,
Main
and
what? Sorry, the hot.
taskmaster of not the brain, not the because the brain is being named as the main taskmaster of our body.
Mhm.
And actually, I shared in this how it's been the other way around, because in the fetus development, the first organ that is developed is the heart, not the brain. Only after 9 weeks after heart activity, the brain is developed. So, and also when somebody dies, they have a brain death, the heart can continue beating independently, thinking and deciding and acting in the brain for many years. It can be
That's
many years
true.
in a coma if there is no brain.
Yeah.
So there are scientific studies shared in the book, and also ancient teachings that goes really back over 5,000 years, and connecting this, because our main problem in our society and not understanding who we are is because of dividing science and spirituality. And my aim is to bring them together again. And this book is the bridge between these two. And so last year, I re-edited this book. Basically, the new edition of this book was published with a foreword by Dr. Bradley Nelson, the founder of Emotion Code, Body Code, and Belief Code. And this book, I wanted to just edit a little bit, but I end up rewriting everything. 100 pages. It's a complete new book. As I become a mother, there is a complete different experience going through the motherhood. And in this book, I'm talking about children of light, the new children that come with completely new genetic design that people are not aware of, and
Yeah.
how to build an educational system for these children, how to have conscious parenting for these children. And I actually channeled the complete curriculum for the new school for these children that is in the book. So you can learn it if you are interested in helping somehow to shape the education in the world. We can gain some insight from this book as well. And also how to go through the single motherhood experience and all that what it come from, and the forgiveness just can get deeper and deeper, and self-love become a real challenge when you are a mother, because there is survival of a child involved, and
Yeah.
how you can constantly remind yourself to make yourself a priority, to be in a good state, in a good shape, mentally, emotionally, physically, to be able to be a good mother as well. So the new Infinite Love involves my motherhood experience, because that's why I felt that it really needed to be rewritten.
Fair enough.
Shimana Quantum Code is this multidimensional healing modality. We are basically what we are doing in the real Shimana Quantum Code healing session. We teleport the patient to a new dimension, 11-dimensional healing chamber, which is basically a healing chamber that is etheric, and we do all type of treatments. Specifically, we had a lot of surgeries on people with COVID vaccine side effects that they have protein spike around their brain and heart.
Spike
And
protein.
exactly, and also the brain and the DNA that is reprogrammed, specifically the chromosome 32 is reprogrammed,
Yeah.
these kind of patients. So this is like the etheric healing chamber, more or less. That is how I could get ChatGPT to do what is in my head. And that's the healing bed where we are working, and it explained in the book. But this book is made for everybody who is not even familiar with esoteric material. It's written in a way that everybody can connect. You can learn how to decode your trapped emotions, your mental energies, your limiting beliefs, and release them. And also, a part of that, you learn about the crystals, how to use the crystals for healing different rays of life, photon therapy. It's all explained in this book. And for those interested with other life experiences, knowing that you are not one-dimensional being and you're a conscious being and evolving constantly, you know that there are a lot of karmic agreements. That is explained here, how to pinpoint those karmic agreements. Very easy to a pendulum. I divide it to 6 categories, and there is prayer how to release it, and it's very fast and easy so to learn it. And then the other book is this book. So is it two? This one has been published in a Spanish version as well. And unlocking the mystery of the soul, accessing Akashic records. This is what helped me to basically jump into new realities, understanding the reality beyond the physical reality. Was the Akashic record, the directory of the soul, all the energetic information of everything that exists. And in this book, you learn how easily to connect to the Akashic records and how to practice channeling. And of course, for channeling, you will need to receive attunement, which is energetic work like initiation ceremony, but then you have the manual to read and practice.
Wow. You see, we've got about 300 interviews worth of material, haven't we, to go through on this? I'm just, as you're saying it, I'm going, okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one. But I think this is going to open up a huge doorway for a lot of people, Shima. So we'll see how it goes, but I think we'll probably need to do quite a few more interviews because it's just an endless source of material here. Because the blessings that you've been given for the insight and also the material that you've got in the books, I haven't come across anybody who's got it all in one place. And believe me, I've been looking. I've been all over the place, and I've been seeking people that have this knowledge because it's something I need. Um, what about, let's give people some details how they're going to get in touch with you. If they have questions, or if they want to know about some of your courses, what's the best email? We'll put it in the link below, but we might as well talk about it while we got you on camera.
The best is to check on my main website, shimashadrouh.com. And there you have link to all the books where you can see and order the books, and you can find the link on Amazon on your own country. And also, you have the direct connection to our WhatsApp, so you can send us message through the book, through the website, and ask your questions. Also, the email address, everything is there. There is a calendar with upcoming events that we are sharing there, and the courses. If you would like to become an Akashic channeler, or you would like to become a quantum therapist, a certified quantum therapist, all the information are on the website.
Super. I let me see what time it is. I've got 10 minutes to my next session. But yeah, there's still a lot going on in my head that I wanted to share, really, but I'm reluctant to do it now because it's going to open up another question. So I think we'll call it a day because we've got through a lot. And for people that are absorbing this, I think my message to you would be: you all have the power to do this. And if you're finding any of this intimidating and you think to yourself, "No, I can't do that. That's not for me," or you'd be surprised where your intuitive guides will help you. And the parts that you're weak on, you'll find a way around it. You'll find a way to gain that access, to gain that strength. And the parts that you're good at, you'll find it very easy. You'll fly through it. So, speaking from a point of view of a person that has come, I would say, a long way in a short time, in the last 6 months, my journey is, I don't even know. If I said 10 times, no, it's not 10x, it's more than that. You just have to let go of the steering wheel and see where the energetic and your path is. You can only control so much in life, really. I found, Shima. You just got to let go and see where it goes and enjoy it. I mean, I'm laughing about stuff. Shit that happens to me. I'm like, I'm okay. A couple of weeks ago, I had a blowout in the middle of nowhere, halfway between the coast and Sevilla. Blew out a tire doing about 140, 150. Should have been killed. But then again, just coasted off the road, nice and safe. And that actually, I'll just share that before we hang up. You mentioned when you were growing up in the war zone and you figured out, well, why is all this happening? I think a lot of my early moments were I should have just been killed, but I wasn't. I've had so many times that I should have died, and I realized this by the time I'd got to about 19 or 20. I'm thinking, this is weird. That absolutely should have killed me. I'll give you one example before we go. I was on a motorcycle doing about a 140, 116K, so that's close to 100 miles an hour. Front tire blew out. The whole bar's like, it's like this sort of thing. It threw me off the bike on the motorway, on a highway, and surrounded by traffic. I ended up sliding down the highway on my shirt. I didn't have a leather jacket on. I had a helmet on and slid down the highway, took all the skin off my arms, and then ended up flipping over on my feet, looking at traffic like it was some sort of circus act, like da-na. And the truck driver, all I saw was all the black smoke from the tires that had then put the brakes on. And the truck driver said, the fucking hell are you not being killed? Did you see what you did? He says, you slid
Wow.
in and out of cars, and it was like the hand of God. So
Wow.
my experiences have been, and now I don't take any of these risks. It got to a point of saying, listen, I've pushed it way too much. So that was
Mm.
my first sort of insight, saying there's something bigger planned for you because you should have been killed. And
Mm.
these are the moments that you question. If you're thinking you're just here by accident and you're just sitting on your sofa and you're not on a destiny journey, I would say to people, think again. You just haven't figured out what it is yet. So,
Mm.
Shima, shall we get something set up in the next few weeks? We'll do another interview. Let's see how the results are and how
Definitely,
people
of
react.
course. Would be a pleasure to get together again. And I just want to leave everybody with one sentence. If you are looking for healing, remember that healing begins within. And this is what you need to do. Go within, come with yourself, sit with yourself, and ask yourself what this is trying to tell me, and try to listen to your body.
I love that. So true, isn't it? If you tune in, I'm smiling now because it's great fun this when you're getting learning, and of course I'm getting confirmations every time you see you're saying something. I'm getting, oh, there it is. That's confirmation. Shima, thank you so much for taking the
My
time on this
pleasure. Thank
amazing,
you. It
insightful
was
interview, and we'll be back very soon with this beautiful, intelligent, and insightful lady, folks. And I'll be back on what day is today? Tuesday. I'll be back. I've got a show later. I've got 4 shows I'm doing today. So Shima, thank you so much. We'll be back very shortly. And for any
Absolutely.
information, all Shima's contact details are below. And we will see you very soon. Have a great week. Bye bye.
Bye.